Is indecent exposure a crime in Oklahoma? Indecent exposure is a criminal offense under Oklahoma law. Although many people assume indecent exposure charges only involve extreme or intentional sexual misconduct, these cases can arise from a wide range of allegations and factual situations. A conviction can carry serious consequences, including jail time, fines, probation conditions, damage to reputation, and, in some cases, registration requirements or restrictions affecting employment and housing. What is considered indecent exposure in Oklahoma? Under Oklahoma law, indecent exposure generally involves the intentional exposure of private body parts in a public place or in a manner likely to offend, alarm, or sexually gratify. Prosecutors commonly allege that the accused knowingly exposed themselves in the presence of another person under circumstances considered offensive or inappropriate. These cases may arise from allegations involving public nudity, exposure in vehicles, incidents at parks or businesses, or accusations involving inappropriate conduct directed toward another person. However, not every accidental exposure or misunderstanding automatically constitutes a criminal offense. The surrounding facts, the accused's intent, and the credibility of witnesses often become critical issues in these cases. Intent often becomes a major issue. One of the most heavily disputed issues in indecent exposure cases is intent. Prosecutors generally seek to prove that the exposure was intentional, rather than accidental or incidental. For example, a person changing clothes in an isolated location, experiencing a wardrobe malfunction, or engaging in non-sexual conduct may deny any criminal intent. In contrast, prosecutors may attempt to argue that the conduct was deliberate, sexually motivated, reckless, or intended to alarm others. Because these cases frequently involve conflicting testimony and limited physical evidence, credibility can become central to the outcome. Indecent exposure cases often depend on witness testimony. Many Oklahoma indecent exposure prosecutions rely heavily on witness statements. In some situations, the allegations involve only the testimony of the complaining witness and the accused. Investigators may also rely on surveillance footage, cell phone records, photographs or videos, statements allegedly made by the accused, and circumstantial evidence regarding the surrounding events. Defense attorneys often closely examine inconsistencies in witness statements, visibility conditions, mistaken identity issues, and whether the alleged conduct actually meets the legal definition of indecent exposure. Penalties for indecent exposure in Oklahoma. The penalties for indecent exposure vary depending on the facts of the case, prior criminal history, and the age of any alleged victim or witness. A conviction may result in jail time, probation, fines, counseling requirements, restrictions on contact with certain individuals or locations, and long-term damage to personal and professional reputation. In some circumstances, allegations involving minors or repeated offenses may expose a defendant to substantially enhanced penalties and additional legal consequences. Even before a conviction occurs, allegations involving indecent exposure can create serious reputational harm. Many employers, licensing boards, schools, and professional organizations treat allegations involving sexual misconduct very seriously. Defenses to indecent exposure charges. Several defenses may apply depending on the circumstances of the case. Some defenses focus on lack of intent, mistaken identity, accidental exposure, insufficient evidence, or false accusations. In some cases, the accused may deny that any exposure occurred. In others, the dispute may center on whether the conduct was intentional or whether the allegations were exaggerated or misinterpreted. Because these cases often involve highly sensitive allegations and credibility disputes, careful investigation is essential. Cases involving minors are treated especially seriously. Oklahoma courts and prosecutors aggressively pursue allegations involving minors. If prosecutors allege that the exposure occurred in the presence of a child or involved inappropriate intent toward a minor, the case may become significantly more serious. These allegations can expose the accused to enhanced criminal penalties and potentially life-altering consequences. Law enforcement investigations in these cases are often extensive and may involve forensic interviews, electronic evidence, and additional related allegations. Creek County Criminal Defense Attorneys. Many individuals accused of indecent exposure make the mistake of attempting to explain the situation to investigators without first consulting an attorney. Statements made during interviews may later be misunderstood, mischaracterized, or used against the accused in court. Our team at Creek County Attorneys is here to advocate for you. Call us at 918-209-3709 for a free and confidential consultation.